All statements and opinions expressed by guests of the Adult in the Room podcast are strictly their own and do not necessarily reflect the beliefs or opinions of the host, producers, or advertisers. All interviews are presented in their most complete possible form in the interests of free speech. No statements should be interpreted as financial, legal, or medical advice. Listener and viewer discretion are strongly advised.
It's the Adult in the Room podcast with Victoria Taft. That's me. Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Adult in the Room podcast. I'm Victoria Taft. I am your adult in this room. And that's because I'm not a child. I'm an adult. I'm a full-grown ass woman. And so welcome. Great to be with you today. And today we've got a lot to talk about. We've got a couple of guests. We're going to talk to Daylight Disinfectant, Dan Sandini. A little bit later, we're going to talk to a gentleman with whom we've met before on this air. And he's a PI, he's a private investigator, but he's been involved in some really particularly amazing cases over the years. And the last time he was on, we were talking about, just police work in general and lawlessness in the cities and all of this stuff. And he goes, if you ever want me to come on and talk about Antifa, I'd be very happy to do it. And I go, well, okay, there we go. So he's coming on today. He'll be there towards the 2:00 hour. Usually we're wrapping up at that time, but no. We're going to have Niels come on and we're going to talk with him on this election day. I just want to let you know of a couple of things. Now, I'm a conservative person, and so I tend to vote Republican, and so I will just be watching some of these big races that we've got going. We've got the California Prop 50 thing real quick. I'm just going to mention it. And I don't think there's ever been more money poured into an initiative of this kind than in Prop 50. And this is the one Gavin Newsom wants to redraw the districts to ice out a bunch of Republicans and get rid of 5 congressional seats, of which there are very precious few Republican seats in the state of California. And so he wants to get rid of those because Texas redrew their lines. And, so Jasmine Crockett doesn't have a seat anymore. So they're doing it to exact revenge. And but the thing is that you wonder, okay, well, you're doing it to check Texas, but that doesn't represent your citizens. So how do you square that circle? So that's one of the things that we're looking at. Anyway, terrific article about what the expenditures are in Cal Matters. And yes, sometimes I have to bring paper in with me because good grief. So in Proposition 50, they've got $26 million going out, and Republicans are really pouring it on. And of course, they're up against Tom Steyer, who's a billionaire and Mr. Climate Change. And so that's really interesting. Then, of course, we have Zohran Mamdani, and Zohran Mamdani is the guy running for the New York City mayor. And it's interesting, I hope he doesn't win. I don't like communists. I think they're really bad for the brand of America since we're not a communist country. We're actually a capitalist country. We believe in free trade and free choices. And so between individuals who want to be able to, trade, buy, sell, everybody gets something out of it. So anyway, we'll keep an eye on that. Of course, all the public opinion polls out of New York say that Zohran Mamdani is going to win. And, Andrew Cuomo, who's a real poop, he is several points back. And the president of the United States of America, that would be one Donald Trump, has said that he's going to, he wants everyone to vote for Andrew Cuomo because it's the only way out. It's better to have that dillweed than it is to have a commie. So that's playing out today. And so Trump came out yesterday and said, hey, you got to vote. You got to vote for, you got to vote for the sane guy. So the other thing is that Dick Cheney died when, everybody loves that Iraq war. And so I just reminded of Dick Cheney and paying homage to him in some form or fashion. I'm still, I was wrong about the Iraq War. It's really smart people on who knew me at the time, and I was like, yeah, go, and I was totally beguiled, and I fell for it, and so okay, Dick Cheney, you go, and I still have my Iraq Most Wanted playing cards. I've not opened this set, so I'll put those over with my. Let's see, I got the sands of Omaha Beach over there, and my Real Housewives of Atlanta. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that? Real Housewives of Antifa. There, I watch them all. By the way, I do not discriminate. I watch every franchise. So there we are. Okay, so I would like to give you sort of a backdrop of what's going on, who the people are who are in Antifa, and I've interviewed multiple people in the Antifa movement over the years because of the connection with Mike Strickland and the fact that on this podcast, before it was a video, I did a series of reports about what happened when Mike Strickland was attacked by Antifa and how it was Mike Strickland who was the one who was prosecuted. So, Portland hasn't changed at all. But so I'm looking around and I see a terrific interview with a guy who's in Antifa. And I thought, that's interesting. He was Antifa, right? And J.D. Delay is the name of the website and his YouTube page. He's a streamer. He's also, a guy who used to be strung out on drugs and has turned his life around, and he's just doing wonderful things online. And so I wanted to bring you some of the highlights from this interview, and I thought it was an excellent interview to the extent that where it went, but I would like to have seen a lot more, a little more information, more in depth. And so I got in touch with this guy. You'll see in a second. Got in touch with him and I said, hey, would you come on? I would really like to expand on the information that you shared with that really excellent interview with J.D. Delay. And so he's going to come on next Tuesday. So 1 week from today, he will be here. So let's look into some of the excellent questions and some of the answers that this individual, Ty Wood, who has his own YouTube account, and we'll tell you what that is coming up in a second. And let's check out what he had to say to this question.
How long were you in Antifa?
I believe it was about 2 years, 2018 to 2020.
And were you recruited? Did you seek them out? How exactly did that work?
I sought them out. I was very well aware from the beginning that it was an organization. I just wasn't sure how it operated, and I never fell into any particular group or cell. I was kind of a drifter, so I just kind of blew where the wind took me. I was led into and out of the chaos, but yeah, I sought them out.
So you may have been a drifter, but can you clarify this for us? As
Drifter
who was in Antifa, is it a actual organization?
100,000%. Don't let anybody fool you otherwise.
And they have like a hierarchy and a leadership structure. What is that like?
Well, the way I classify the two classes of Antifa, at least street level, you have the devotees and you have the wannabes. The devotees are people like me, people who are really in it for the Civil War aspect. We knew damn well we were playing in Civil War territory. We wanted to fight. We wanted to take out our political enemies. We wanted to take out all our rage. We were willing to do what the little trans kids on the college campus wouldn't, right?
So he was involved in Antifa in Portland, which of course is where all this latest anti-ICE activity has been going on and where there's been a little mini war between the neighbors, Antifa, and ICE, and federal officers working out of the ICE complex in that area of Southwest Portland on the Southwest waterfront. So he was involved from 2018 to 2020, he says. And what that was is so 2018, 2020. So that was right after during the Trump first presidency. And they were just hot as hornets. And Antifa started. That's when we really saw the riotous behavior by Antifa on the streets, like the what are they doing this for? I mean, who are these nutters? What's happening? And that's when you started seeing Proud Boys come out and a new local group, Patriot Prayer. And they would try to keep the peace because obviously the cops weren't interested in keeping the peace. Apparently, this was a fait accompli for the city of Portland. They'd just rather have the riotous behavior than anything else. So there we go. Okay. LaDonna's out there listening today and watching today. Excellent, LaDonna. Thank you so much for doing that. Okay, so let's continue with Ty. Ty Wood, his personal account on YouTube, his YouTube stream, or his YouTube shows, Triple B Collective. He talks about being in Antifa and what he did, some of the things that he did when he was young, dumb, and happy. And but he wasn't happy. And you'll notice that they said he was a street kid. And you'll hear from somebody else who was also a street kid, because that's what they do. They sort of pick up the people who are disaffected, who are sad, who are parentless, or any number of things. But now he's got more to say on his life with his family, and I want you to hear it. Here it is.
They're the wannabes, the furries, the one coming out in the dinosaur suits, you know, all of which is made to make it look light and fluffy, while people like me were behind the scenes. I would walk around with a machete half the size of my fucking leg. I called it my self-defense machete. It's fucking pathetic. But so the devotees kind of use the wannabe class as human shield. So a lot of the time the wannabes would get taken out first because they want to be virtuous. They want to be there with the cameras at the front, and then holy shit, here come the rubber bullets. And then the ones in the back can be like, see, we told you. And then some of them can go to fight, and then others can go to run away.
No, that squares. I mean, that squares with what we know. They, of course, always send the people who are dressed up in costumes and who look less violent and less offensive, and they send them to the front of the line. So they do that so that the photos that the media take and the people streaming and that's they see the crazy naked women, or they see the mothers in their yellow T-shirts. They see the people who, you know, have crazy names, ad hoc names for just that moment, and then they're there, and they suck up all the oxygen for the of the people who are covering it. So behind them, of course, is Black Bloc, and behind you know how that goes. So the violent people are behind them. So Ty continues with JD Delay, and here are a couple of things I wanted you to hear about. One of the reasons he is so affected by what happened to him in Antifa, and is because he felt like he was jumped into a cult.
It's a domestic terror organization. I wish it could have gone differently. I love alternate history as much as the next guy. I'd love to see what that world looks like, but unfortunately the reality is, like, this is bad. This is a white boy jihad, and it's going to get fucked up.
It's a white boy jihad. And so that's exactly right. It is one of those, I mean, you can see it. I mean, if you're watching, you can see how there are a lot of parallels to what we see in the jihadi movement. It doesn't matter what sect it is. It's just pretty much the same people who don't have parents, or they're taken away from their parents or what have you. And they are strays, and they are sucked in. And so, so this former Antifa member continues with this excellent interview. But like I say, JD Delay is the guy who's doing the interview, and he's awesome. And I will say that Ty, whose own channel is Triple B Collective, is talking about sort of generalities here and what he felt like was going on. And I just want you to hear what's inside the minds of these Antifa people. He wants to get rid of them.
Everybody.
The way to get rid of them, if you can't get him on terrorism charges, and let's hope there isn't any terrorist activity that you can get him on, but too late for that, then to go after them like Al Capone,
Because there's multiple ways that these kids were getting funding. For a lot of them, people like me, it was kind of like Scientology, pay to play. Yeah, you got to pay your bills, but you might also need the mask for tomorrow type stuff. And then for the girls in Antifa, a lot of them were sex workers. So they're making a shit ton of money that guys like us couldn't make. And then on the community level, a lot of these bars and a lot of these downtown businesses, they pride themselves on the idea of revolution. a new world, apocalyptic narratives that we're all going to die. You go around to all these places and it has satanic imagery fucking everywhere.
That is true. There was, as a matter of fact, we talked about that when we brought you some highlights of Jonathan Cho's and Harlan Borysenko's trip to the Anarchist Book Fair in both Oakland and in Seattle, and they were struck by the amount of satanic material in the offered, what they offered, the offering. And, basically it's the satanic connections to anarchy, the satanic connections to revolution. And, that's their words, not mine. So that's part of the way they're teaching materials. It's part of their lore. It's part of their canon, all of this stuff. It's not it's theirs, not mine. So that's what's going on. And so LaDonna wants to know, what side are we on? Well, he's formerly an Antifa member, and now he's on the normal side of America. So this is amazing. And he lives in Texas now. So anyway, here in this cut, and this is the last one from him, and you definitely will have in the show notes the link to go to watch the whole thing. It wasn't terribly long, but he also is going to be on this podcast next week on Tuesday. But here is the claim that the Antifa is a cult. Okay.
Getting out of Antifa was like getting out of a bad relationship. I put up with so much. I did so much. I saw so much. Half the channel, I'm still going through all the stories of all the things I did. But the short answer for getting out, doing everything they told me not to do, listening to people they told me not to listen to, listening to music they told me not to listen to, watching movies they told me not to watch, reading books they told me not to read, talking to people they told me not to talk to, which is a major cult aspect of that. They encourage you to sever ties with your family.
Oh, yeah.
And I did that. I didn't even get to see my grandmother on her deathbed because she was a white supremacist.
Can you believe that?
All of their targets, they don't go after Nazis. I was studying Nazis. I was very confused why no one around me wanted to know about actual Nazis. So I didn't spend much time in the Proud Boys. I don't think they're actual Nazis, so I wasn't fucking worried about them, But they don't like to talk about that stuff because it's scary. What's a threat to them is people like Charlie Kirk, who convince people like me, hey, you're fucking up. Come back here, buddy. There's a man upstairs that loves you. Do you know you got a mommy and daddy at home that miss you very much? Do you know you look like a fucking asshole on these drugs? Yeah. That's who they hate because they threaten the cult.
That's who they hate because they threaten the cult. And Charlie Kirk is no longer with us because somebody who was a Trantifa boyfriend, a furry, took him out. And at least that's what we think happened at this point in time. That certainly appears to be the case. So that is the backstory of Ty, who will be on this program next week. But here's what I wanted to call your attention to. The fact that, of course, the Kirk connection, they didn't want anyone to hear the truth about how nihilistic they were. And they also went about their own business of cleaning their own house and cleaning the minds and brushing clean the cobwebs in anyone else's mind about stuff with which they disagreed. Do not look at these readings, movies. They do not look at any videos by whoever they didn't like. And I want to find out who those people are. Of course, now he let out the cat in the bag about Charlie Kirk. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of surprising. So I'm watching this. I'm like, good job, buddy, that you're out of that. Man, oh man. Oh, let's hope that's true. And so I will find out. He seems on the mark, actually. So he's out. So anyway, so Ty does this interview with another guy who was in Portland Antifa. He was a black blocker, and that means he was the guy who dressed up all black. In fact, he was dressed the way I was dressed when I went down there just to find out what was going on so I could just see for myself. Because I there wasn't any media attention to it. I mean, mainstream media attention to it. And to the extent they did cover it, it was all pro Antifa, it's just free speech. Yeah. When is riotous behavior free speech? Never. It's not protected free speech, as I've told you multitudes of times. So So I wanted to go see myself. Honey Badger mom helped me. And so I was able to see stuff, find out what was going on. And so this guy was in Black Bloc, and he was an anarchist and still is, I think. And he had lived in Southwest Washington and it was involved in Portland Antifa, Rose City Antifa. And he was, I think he started getting out, like, I want to say 2017-ish, because he saw the violence. Remember now, the violence stepped up exponentially in 2017 in Portland. And that was because they were all ticked off that Donald Trump, he was he's a king. He's this. He's a bad guy. We don't like him. Golly, did you see anybody taking to the streets and committing acts of violence against Barack Obama? You did not. You saw peaceful Tea Party people so. Oh, Michelle Mack says that she's reporting us for some reason. I have no idea why, but anyway. So thank you, Michelle, for your helpful suggestion. I have no idea. You may leave a message too on our live chat. So, okay. So then we've got this other guy was in Black Bloc. Okay. And his name's Scrub. And I'm sorry, I have to share this. Here we go. This is the last one from her I'm going to share. MAGA lies are disinformation, and your racism and slurs are going down, bitch. Oh, have fun being demonetized? Okay, well, guess what? We're not. So we're not even monetized. So it's sort of good luck with that, honey. Okay, so troll. Bye. I guess, should I block her? I suppose. I don't know. We'll figure it out later. Whatever. I mean, how bad do you have to be to pick on a person who's just telling you what people are saying, who are literally telling you what people are saying in their own experience and their lies and disinformation? Okay. Really? Honestly, you do have a bit of a problem, dear. Why don't you go pick on somebody your own size? So here we go. Here is this gentleman. Scrub is his name. He's a rapper. He is from the West Coast. He was jumped out of Antifa because he did not toe the line and had opinions of his own.
They're asking questions when they started demonizing everybody on the left as snowflakes and everybody on the right as, well, they had so many different names, it's ridiculous, but they settled on maggots, which, honestly, to me, that's no offense because I'm a Slipknot fan, so whatever. But the way I was seeing it, though, is they were meaning it as a way to dehumanize each other, not as a way to just try to make each other feel bad.
Yeah.
And that is where I realized that we were being weaponized. So I started asking questions and started voicing out, and I was getting silenced from the left endlessly. COVID hit, and I got silenced even more. They kept telling me that I shouldn't speak out because I'm the minority. And I'm like, that's kind of the point of the First Amendment. And so because of that, I was not welcome amongst the left. And a lot of people tried demonizing me as a far-right fascist. Kind of funny telling an anarchist he's a fascist. But I started calling out Antifa right after that. They tried doxing me. They tried threatening me. And nothing was working because I'm not stupid. I live in a mutual combat state.
Yeah, good luck with that.
But they decided the best way to go was to pretend they didn't know me anymore. No affiliation whatsoever. Cold cut. I don't exist. Antifa
Like
doesn't.
they never called you comrade?
Yeah, like they never called me comrade. Well, the funny thing is, back then they didn't call me comrade. They called me homie.
Now check it. Listen up here.
I call them homie. That's how it rolled. Then all of a sudden I started hearing this comrade talk, and I was like, wait a minute. I ain't no commie. I don't like commies just as much as I don't like fascists. And that made me a problem. Because Antifa is communists, not anarchists.
There you go. Bingo, bango, bongo. Yeah, no, that's true. It is. In fact, you can see the turn because, as I said, like in 2016, when the attack of Mike Strickland went down, the people involved were, yeah, some of them were violent, but some of the anarchists who would talk to me, you know, they weren't commies. Some of the other guys were. They were BLM commies. They were all kinds of people, but yeah. And in 2016, that's when the money started rolling in, right? And that's all of a sudden when things became supercharged. So this guy was in around that time. And I look forward to hearing more answers from him about what he may or may not have been involved with at that time. Okay. So we talk, and this is on Ty's website, his YouTube channel, which is Triple B Collective. Okay. So let us go back. Let's get a little bit more information from this guy, because he tells how his mind changed. First, they wouldn't listen to him, wouldn't countenance his questions, wouldn't answer, and they told him to stop asking questions.
I think that having kids,
Yes.
And now he's got kids. And I want you to, all you men out there especially, I want you to hear this.
part of what you were missing.
It's not what I was missing. It gave me purpose. A lot of these people are being told that children aren't people from the womb, which is the reason why there's a disconnect when the child's born. It's because in the womb, it's not a child, so there's no connection really. And then outside of the womb, they try to build a bond. You can't do that. You have to start from the womb. That's where the child is. And this is where a lot of the disconnect I've noticed is. The dehumanization starts there.
Okay. Yeah. What about that? I mean, this is mind blowing. So so I decided to listen, I was listening, okay, to this interview that Ty did with this brother scrub guy who's a rapper and former Antifa black blocker and in Portland. And what cracked me up was that wait a minute, wait. They weren't trashing Trump, which blew my mind. They believe in borders, which blew my mind. They believe in life, which I sat up in bed. I go, what? I think I might have more in common with this guy than Antifa does. I mean, wow. And he keeps going.
The moment you say this thing isn't a person, which fetus means a little person, an offspring of a human being, it makes it so that way you justify anything. You'll justify violence against your neighbor. Right. You'll justify violence against your spouse. You'll justify violence against your child.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're justifying violence from the start. You're not creating the bond we're all supposed to have with both each other and this earth.
Interesting. So he's thought a lot about his belief system, and it did not jibe with Antifa when he was a member of Black Bloc. Okay. So then there's a couple more cuts here from him, and I've got others as well, because you're thinking to yourself, when you see all of these people out there at the ICE facility, and, all of a sudden they're wearing their dopey costumes, their Teletubbies costumes, and they're doing their roller skating in order to block the driveway so that ICE may not conduct any operations. What is prominent of all questions is that, hey, do these people have jobs? So you'll hear about that coming up in a little bit as well, because Karlin Borisenko asked that question of the guy who has control over the safe house, Antifa safe house down there. So, okay, so let's keep going.
Don't want tyrants. They're lying. They just want theirs.
Yep.
They claim they don't want kings. They're lying. They just want theirs. And I'm looking at it going, the only king that I will ever kneel to is Christ.
Ah!
King above me. No man is greater than me. Everyone is my equal, whether they like it or not.
I mean, hey, Alex, did you see that one coming? I told Alex, I said, I'm not telling you anything these guys say. I'm not saying a word. You will be shocked. And if show me your shocked face, Alex. Here we go. I don't see him here. Wait, he's probably down at the bottom of my cut sheet. No.
I don't have a camera on.
Oh, he doesn't have a
I'm
camera on.
shocked. Trust me.
I know. Isn't that something? I mean, it's just amazing. Okay, and then they're Christ followers. Oh, okay. Did not see that was not on my bingo card today. Okay. So then a couple more things before we get to our friend Dan Sandini, who's in the waiting room. Hello, Dan. It is this. So what are these people doing? Do these people have jobs? Who's paying for the Teletubby outfits? Okay. Those are not cheap. It's not like, and believe me, if you're renting them after being, gassed, chem sprayed, probably peed on, I mean, they don't want them back. Okay. You probably should just buy that thing. Okay. What do they do for a living? Well, the keeper of the Antifa safe house explains.
Have jobs, and that's why you're always there protesting. Can you please talk to us about some of the people who are down there and whether or not you guys have actual jobs that are separate from the ICE facility?
Look at this.
Yes.
May I just say something?
Or not?
Yes.
You guys have actual jobs that are.
No, you can't start over, Carlin. So this was an excellent stream with Chandler Patey, who's the guy who has rented the apartment from which all the Antifa come in and out and spell themselves, and they come out and, they go in shifts at the Portland ICE thing. They have, I would say that they have a lot of discipline in some respects, in that they make sure that they get rest. They come out the first shift, then go back, get rest, come back out the second shift, and then they do their ridiculous antics. Okay. So here he is on this long stream that we'll also put in the show notes so that you know where I got this information. And we've already featured Karlin Borisenko's work on this in previous episodes of the Adult in the Room podcast. But I want you to hear the answer to this question, parents.
Separate from the ICE facility?
Yes. I mean, no, I'm not going to tell you about individual real people because it's doxing.
Yeah, I'm just saying in a generalized term.
Right. So to give an example of one person who works 3 jobs, they have a main job, which is, like a normal fucking office job. And then they have a second job as a bartender, which is obviously part-time. And then a third job doing something else, which is legal, but rude to mention.
Is it?
But they dance. And then there's another person who works as a fucking.
Sorry about the language, guys.
It's not hard. As a preschool teacher, right? Or I don't think it's preschool, but it's as a school teacher for young children. There's a couple of teachers out here actually.
Teachers.
I don't actually know everyone else's job, but most of our medics down here are either like currently medical students or like EMTs or like shit like that, right? Like they're actually professional, like medical professionals, right?
Don't you want to know if the guy driving your Lyft or is who might be a doctor or someone who could determine whether or not you live or die hates you because you're a quote unquote Nazi? I mean, do you want to go to that person for help? Do you want your child in the classroom being taught by somebody who clearly has become untethered in their belief systems? Okay. It's a good question.
Down there, and whether or not you guys have actual jobs that are separate from the ICE facility?
Yes.
Oh, crap. I started over again, guys. Sorry.
Which is legal, but rude to mention. But they dance.
They dance.
Person.
A lot of dancers out there.
As a fucking
prostitutes.
It's not hard. As a preschool teacher, right? Or I don't think it's preschool, but it's as a school teacher for young children. There's a couple of teachers out here actually. I don't actually know everyone else's job, but most of our medics down here are either like currently medical students or like EMTs or like shit like that, right? Like they're actually professional, like medical professionals, right? And
he looks like he's gonna go to sleep.
Myself, obviously, I'm a carpenter, right? And
he's got a job apparently.
Like, I know one other person who's a carpenter who has a second job doing like lift stuff, right? and they're just barely making ends meet as well because they have a family, they have a wife, and they have 2 kids. And so like we
He's
are all working, and it's not just us, right? Our situation.
okay. I can't handle the rest of it. It's fine. We don't need to listen to all of that. And you can check out the live stream of that at let's see, that would be her Dr. We'll put it on the show notes. Okay, just look, if you look at Karlyn, Karlyn Borisenko, you'll find her. Okay, so, and we'll put it in the show notes, as I say again. But here's the point. The point is that they have a lot of regular old jobs, and we've known this for quite some time. Andy No writes about it in his book, in which we find out some of those people are working at OHSU. It's like, which is the teaching hospital in Portland, and so I'm just thinking, what do you want that person? If they find out that you come in with a Trump hat on, are they going to kill you? I mean, you just don't. Seriously, where are their alliances, their allegiances? Are they to the cause of their comrades, or are they to their ethics as a medical professional? No idea. We have no idea. Here's one more thing, because everybody who has conducted any coverage of this whatsoever or done any reading about what's going on at the ICE facility needs to know this. And it's that the noise is deafening. They actually play high-pitched sounds that, think torture of, special ops guys who go out there and try to roust out somebody, a bad dude. Like, I'm thinking Noriega. Remember, they used to play, well, you wouldn't remember, but I am the adult in the room. Therefore, I do remember. And, they play stuff that nobody wants to hear, except they did play some Van Halen, which I do appreciate. But Daniel Noriega didn't like it. And so they play stuff that the neighbors don't like. Okay. So here we go. And listen to him accepting the responsibility for most of the noise. And you didn't expect the Antifa dude to say this, did you?
Go inside of their building, and they can't hear any of the loud, annoying music that we play, right?
He's talking
Like,
about
if you're
ICE.
talking on the megaphone constantly when they're inside, you're talking to no one. Like maybe the guy on duty or whatever standing out there, but if he has fucking noise canceling headphones in, you're talking to no one. It's just like
he's just getting tireder and tireder.
All of that noise is not always necessary, and also not all of that noise is our fault. They throw flashbangs and shit, right? But admittedly, right, most of the noise is created by the protesters, and I understand that it is one way to express yourself, right? But if you are just being annoying, other people won't want to come protest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty much the nugget of what he had to say there. And so you will never hear anybody in Antifa take the blame for anything. That's the first time I was shocked. And good for you, Karlyn. I'm glad you guys got him to admit that they cause all the ruckus because people can't sleep. I mean, the city's been sued, and so as a result, the city has thrown all of its chits in the basket of Antifa. And they went to bat for Antifa. Well, this is a First Amendment activity. No, some of it isn't. And you need to figure out what the difference is, because the eunuch version, the eunuch unit, let's see, how am I going to say this? Portland Police eunuch patrol down there at ICE, they don't know the difference. And somebody should school them up on that. Dan Sandini is a daylight disinfectant. Dan is a marathon runner. He's also a guy who has been in this journalistic space for many, many years. And he's worked with the likes of James O'Keefe. He was inspired, like many of us were, and he worked with Andrew Breitbart. And so, he's paying a special attention to what's going down at the ICE facility in Portland, because he knows this very well. Dan, how are you? Thanks for coming on.
Well, Victoria, it's good to be another adult in the room, I guess, today. And I look at what you're saying and how far back we go, back to 2010. It's just been going on and on for forever there in Portland, right? And kind of fun to play the home edition from here in Tampa Bay area. I'm looking out at the beautiful Tampa Bay right now. So it's
getting the rays.
fun to pay the Antifa home edition. I think, okay, Ryan Amaker has done a great job of breaking down the taxonomy of the Antifa. And I think that police officer you were talking about, I think that's cop Tifa. If you look at the taxonomy of how it breaks down, Victoria, I think that's you've got your trans Tifa,
Oh my gosh.
Tifa, and then you've got your cop Tifa over here. But
Oh
he
yeah.
just has this hilarious video out there of breaking down the.
That is great. I will go steal that, and I will give him credit, of course, naturally.
So funny, Victoria.
Oh man.
So funny. It's just a play on what you were talking about. I didn't know what you wanted to talk to me about today, but
I want to talk to you about your help of capturing the guy who threw the rock in Tommy's face.
Oh yeah. So yeah, let's get that story out there.
We got some B-roll here, so let me just do this. Well, actually, it's more than B-roll. Yeah, we'll just let it go here. Here's Tommy Boy's. This is a. Come on, buddy. I don't want. Yeah, here we go. So he's just, he's out there. He's annoying Antifa. I mean, that's his job. Apparently, he feels that's his reason for being raison d'etre.
We would have never done the stuff that Tommy does, right? I mean, not in the
oh, absolutely not.
Right. This is a new phenomenon. This sort of, instigating them, I guess, antagonizing. He's just stating facts. I mean, men are men, you can't change from a man into a woman, and that just sets them up. I really got to love it. It's the most entertaining part, I have to say, is watching Tommy Boy. To be honest with you, I don't agree with his tactics necessarily, but it's funny to watch.
It is funny, but it wasn't funny when that guy put a rock and you just crashed into it. And you will see this is his Tommy Boy's personal video of the event, and later we had Ocean Plot, who actually caught the person doing the act of clunking a softball-sized rock in his face. But this also speaks of the fact that the Portland Police Bureau just does nothing. Oh, they deserved it. Really? And Tommy was the one who was cited.
They do worse, Victoria. They do worse. They arrested the guy who got hit in the head with a rock. Okay?
Yep.
They arrested him afterwards, after he got out of the hospital, because beforehand, apparently, he was in an altercation with someone. Okay. And who knows who shoved who first. Okay. But they arrested him. And, the guy who, let's say, allegedly, right, he's been identified as doing such, of hitting the guy in the head with a softball-sized rock. And if your viewers go back and watch the video from Ocean Plot, who's doing an amazing job down there.
Yeah, he's doing a great job.
Just a great guy, he's everything that I would ever have wanted to be in a citizen journalist and ever was, I just picked it up as a hobby, but these people are pros, Victoria. That guy could do. He's like NPR when NPR was good. Okay. That's Ocean Plot,
Mm-hmm.
You've got all different types down there, right? You've got him, you've got Tommy Boy, but yeah, you've got this Antifa.
Honey Badger.
Up behind it, got Honey Badger, just a wonderful photographer, I mean, it's so interesting to watch the different perspectives, and somebody, when it's all over with, in a Breitbart-esque fashion, needs to tell the story of the people that are down there covering this thing right now. I hope that somebody's I'm trying to encourage Ocean Plot to do that, to take a lot of video of the people that are doing the actual citizen journalism down there. But to get to your guy, I think we really do need to cover this Gabe Lyons guy, because I think, Victoria, I would guess
that's the guy who did it. That's the guy who
you have to be careful. Okay, it's alleged, and it's fairly clear that it's him on video, and he's tracked down on the max by some of these people. But if you can imagine someone coming from behind someone with a rock as big as your fist and swinging it in a 90-degree arc and hitting somebody in the back of the head, when I saw that, I was like, that's the worst thing I have seen since Strickland, since they broke Strickland's arm in 5 places.
Oh, God, okay. That's right. Oh,
right. Okay, that's the worst thing that I've seen since then. I've had my own hit in the head, and then I've had Strickland getting his arm broken in 5 places, assaulted multiple times, but that's the worst thing that I saw. And then this guy disappears. Okay,
Yeah.
He's nowhere on the videos. And now what caught me watching these live feeds, Victoria, is like, I'm watching for the guy who swung the piece of concrete or rock and who just seems to have vanished. And then, they ended up identifying who this guy was. He is from out in Sandy, Oregon, charges from going back to 2022. I could look at the list here, but basically SA charges. So,
That's all you go.
don't want anybody to just a terrible person. Okay.
Mhm.
And the police just don't seem interested. So as I'm really watching the live feeds, and I was on Kostin, let me see if I can pronounce it right. Savransky. It's K Bowski, at K Bowski. Everybody go out and follow. Okay.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, thanks to you.
Old. And I'm watching this live feed, and I can hear him say, I was kind of away for a bit, and I hear him say, wait, it's the red shoes. You can just hear the wheels turning. It's amazing to watch it on the live feed, and you hear him go, that's the guy. And he goes over and tells the cops, and he's telling the cops, hey, that's the guy who hit one of ours in the head with a rock, and there's the Portland police, the Cop-Tifa, who if you want to imagine the Portland police at one of these events, imagine Stevie Wonder at the keyboard. This is who these cops are. No crimes to be found here.
I mean, it's such a terrible milieu. It is so. I mean, it's such a terrible milieu. It's just like Portland is where justice goes to die.
That's it. Yeah. Oh, it's terrible. It's really, well, to finish telling the story, Kostin takes off after the guy running. Okay. And it goes dark. Right? Video goes dark. And we'll link it through the bottom of your video afterwards so people can go back and see his video. But then the next thing he's caught the guy with the cops. Okay. And I guess he had his hands on him in one. So can you imagine? This is not me, Victoria. This is not me. Like, I would not be the videographer to go chasing after concrete rock guy. Okay. That would not be
no.
My bailiwick. Okay. All right. Let the police do their job. But here's this 18-year-old that goes, chasing after him down the block. I guess it was like, a couple of blocks talking to him, before he caught the guy. Okay. So, and as I started Googling his name, because I was trying to do a story on him, and I'm like, okay, let's find out who this guy is. Okay. Let's find out who Kostin is. I come up with the fact that he came in like in the top dozen in the 200-yard dash at his high school. And I'm a runner.
Oh.
So, all right. So he can run the 200 in 24 seconds. So that Antifa picked the wrong guy. He catches him and the cops arrest him. But as I look at the arrest record, somebody else found it. They got him for four probation violations. That's what they charged him with. Nothing about the rock. So I can only assume that Justice Center is closed now. They have the new courthouse down there, I guess, in downtown Portland. But one can only imagine that he was put right back out on the street, Victoria.
I'm sure he was. Big shocker.
Right.
Portland justice, where justice goes to die. So I believe that. I believe that he probably was. Now, you notice that the federal building downtown, if you've seen that recently, it still has apparently steel reinforced coverings over the windows. And because 2020, when Antifa had a spasm of violence in that time period, they had to do that. Now they're going after the ICE facility. And what are they saying to the ICE facility? Oh, no, Portland says, you are in violation of your contract with the city or whomever because you have put plywood over your windows. You have to remove it. Can you imagine that? I mean, there's sick and then there's disgusting.
Right, rather than help these people, they are just scared to death. What's really going on, Victoria? And it's just my own opinion of what's going on down there. Is they are deadly afraid. The Neil Goldschmidt types in downtown Portland of politicians, okay, and Sam Adam types are just deadly afraid that the filing cabinet.
Don't worry, I'm going to run B-roll here.
This is great. Richard's been down there since I think I have.
Oh, Richard, I
thought that's who that was. But
Oh no, but I have talked about him on the podcast because he's the older gentleman. Gentleman, who am I kidding? He's the older man he's really dangerous. I mean, that dude. I mean, he would soon as kill you as look at you. I mean, honestly, he's mean.
Oh, it's a felon. I mean, he spit in the face of a law enforcement officer over at the mall. Okay, charged with a felony. So
that's not all he did. No, we have video of him with the flagpole. She tried to say the flagpole, and he was doing like this. See, I can hit somebody with it. And we have him in I'm sure it was Strickland's video. We have him in a video of doing that. I mean, here it's not benign what he does down there. It's not.
No. But why isn't he? People say he's mentally ill. Okay, people say.
Oh, I'm sure he's got a few screws loose.
All right, he's got screws loose. Okay, but he's competent enough to know what to choose the right side. Right, he's competent enough to engage in this hateful rhetoric. He's competent enough to hit people on the head with flagpoles.
Sure.
Okay, why isn't this guy locked up? Okay, lock this guy up. He can get mental health treatment in the state pen down in Salem, right? I mean, why are these people offered this wide breadth, okay, of being able to go down and cause all of these problems in front of a federal facility just because they're mentally ill? How long has he been doing this? At least since your original Tea Parties.
Oh yeah, no. Before that, I'd say he was probably
That's 2011. My video went on Fox in 2011, in April of 2011, when they came down to the Tea Party. So I don't know how long he's been going, but this is a part of the rent-a-mob.
Yeah.
You were talking about the money and what jobs these people have, and it's another reason why the mayor, why Tina Kotek, Keith Wilson, Tina Kotek, why are these people so worried about the feds? And they're being weakened. Okay, they're being. You look at what happened to Nick Sorter and his case. Okay, Sorter, was able to escape that Multnomah County DA, but in my opinion, the only reason why was because of pressure from the Department of Justice. That DA does not want the Department of Justice around, okay? And they don't want problems, particularly with a high-profile figure like Sorter, okay? So that got dropped immediately, right? But so there's that pressure coming in from the DOJ, but there's the money pressure, as you were pointing out earlier. Where does the money come from, right? So, you've got Mike Benz, who's been investigating USAID, right? And that all those NGOs out in Portland, right? The money has to have dried up for a number of NGOs that are out there, right? So they can't do the rent-a-mob job that they used to be able to do, like during Occupy, right? So that's weakening it. You've got the federal government pressure and the DOJ and the folks that are down there at the ICE facility, the Department of Homeland Security, right, that are down there. And those politicians must be, well, can you say shitting bricks? Shitting bricks. They are deadly afraid that somebody is going to come in and expose their corrupt paradise down there. So,
well, I think that what's going to happen, and here's what I think that has been happening ever since Barack Obama went into these agreements with the DOJ and the police departments in multiple cities across the country, including Portland, because there are too many black people, or there was an incident in which a black person died, and it could have been shady or as hell, I don't know, or it could have been benign or what have you. Nevertheless, it happened, and all of a sudden they were involved in a consent decree, and all of these places have still remained in a consent decree with the DOJ. And so, okay, who's in the DOJ now? And the person who's dealing with that? Well, I'll tell you who it is. It's Harmeet Dillon, and she's in charge of the Civil Rights Division. And now she's going to go back. She's already talked about the consent decree, and she and not to the extent that I am, but she says they're under consent decree. But I can imagine she can go back in there and re-up that in a different form or fashion than that which the Obama administration did. And so I think that they better figure it out. They have got to treat people equally on the street. they have got to say, we don't automatically assume that people who don't like Antifa are fascists. We really have to do that. We have to grow up and figure this out. And they have not done that. And so obviously, and so I think that's what's going to happen. I think that she's going to bring the pain, and I hope she does it toot sweet. I hope she does it very fast.
I hope they're doing the slow twist of the knife, and that it's not just going to go to sleep, after a while. I'd like to keep the pressure going and the interest on it. When I look at somebody like Chandler, who you had on before, I was there. If it were me, if I could fault the Trump administration and, they play 5D chess, okay, I'm playing -1D chess. So, but, I would arrest the Rose. I checked before we came on here. The Rose City Antifa webpage is still up.
It's still up.
How is that possible, right?
It's still up.
Chandler is running a safe house for these people by any definition, right? Okay.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. And if you've got felons, hot and cold running felons going in and out, you are actually giving refuge to felons. How in heaven's name is this not being prosecuted? It is astonishing to me. It's one of the reasons I was very glad that people have gone to. Nick Sorter is the one who first, I think, well, of course, Katie Davis Court is the person who for the very first time showed us where it was. Okay. She is the one, she and Honey Badger told us where it was. And she's the one who blew the whistle. And then when Nick Sorter comes to town, he just goes and confronts him. And other people have had interviews. There was a whole posse of, I guess, conservatives that went there. And I agree that when you're in your live stream that you did that last Wednesday night, and you're going to do again tomorrow night, I agree that the tenor changed when more conservatives began showing up. Now, some of those people are intemperate, ridiculous people who go down and pick fights just for the fun of it. And they are not helpful. Okay. I mean, of course, I'm the old lady, right? Okay. I'm the adult in the room, but that's not helpful. Do you think it's helpful?
No. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people that are down there causing trouble that shouldn't be down there causing trouble, and something you have to think about, and you probably are thinking about it, but there are any number of infiltrators that will go inside of there from any number of organizations, and you're going to say, okay, Sandini has completely gone off his rocker. Okay?
No.
But one of the people from 2011, Victoria, that I ran into the ground, I ditched the story after a while because I figured the guy was a good guy. Okay. But I'm watching this guy in with the socialists, the International Socialist Organization, aside from Sanchez and Neil Lowline. I call him Neil Lowlife, who were the two heads down there then. Okay.
I remember those. I remember one of those guys. He's the one who held up a sign going Victoria Daft.
Oh yeah.
Oh, good job, buddy. You're going to have to go a hell of a lot farther to insult me than that. But whatever. Keep going. I'm sorry.
You know what? You go ahead. I love it when they do that because it just encourages me more. It just encourages me. It's like, okay, have your little joke, I mean, because I'm going to cause you more problems than you can possibly imagine. But one of these guys, Victoria, when I ran it into the ground, you're saying, okay, Sandini's really going whack job now, was Mossad. I'm telling you, this guy was Mossad.
Wait, stop. What are you talking about? Where again? Portland?
We're down at those tea parties, right? Down in the Pioneer Courthouse Square.
Uh-huh.
Right? Okay. I'll shoot you the blog article and point.
Okay. Do it.
Okay. But I'm like looking at this guy and I'm trying to figure out who he is. And I finally got a name from my one guy who I knew who was having a beer once a week with from Marxists. Okay. So I got a name. Okay. And I ran it into the ground. This guy had taken a gun. I guarantee you don't know this story. It's been buried. This guy had taken a gun into Portland State University and taken it apart and put it back together again and gotten arrested for it. Okay. And his attorneys, okay, for the case were Kitzhaber's attorneys, the same big law firm downtown. The name escapes me now. Okay. But these same people moved in and it was dropped immediately. And I'm like, DAFUQ. That's how I do that. What the hell is going on with this guy? Okay. As I ran it down, he had come up from Los Angeles. And as I ran it down even further, this guy had been Mossad. Okay. Inside of the Israeli IDF. Okay. Now, what is he doing? embedded in the International Socialist Organization, antagonizing a protest up in Portland.
He's working for USAID. No,
I don't know. I could
oh my
only
gosh, that's
assume
crazy.
working for Mossad, and none of the people in the socialists knew that, and I wasn't going to be the guy that was going to. I said I had that story all written up, and I said, you know what? He's a good guy. I'm not. I assume.
Oh my gosh,
he's
that's so
yelling
crazy.
things at me. Okay.
Okay, Dan, we got to wrap it. We got to wrap it because Niels is on, and I just want to make sure I get him on and not waste his time. So
I'm daylight dis. Spell out daylight dis 1776 on X. That's the best place to find me these days.
Yep.
And Costin, K Bowski, he's my hero down there now. Anybody that would chase after an Antifa and get the guy arrested, though,
that was
please watch that case, Victoria.
That was quite a run he did. Okay, speaking of running, you've got your
yep.
Okay,
my
where'd you
22nd full marathon going for an Ironman, Victoria, next winter. That's my goal. I don't know if I'll do it, but finish my 22nd full marathon in Panama. So hopefully all I have to be able to do is do a 2.5 mile swim and a 112-mile bike ride before I do the marathon. So, but an 83-year-old woman did it the other day. So, and I think it's still within the realm of possibilities for me. We'll see.
Dan Sandini, thank you so much, and good luck. Keep me informed on your latest athletic exploits. I appreciate that. Wow, that's amazing. It takes so much mental effort to do that. I admire anyone who can do that and train for it. The training is, the hardest. I remember I was going to do half marathon, so I thought, okay, I'm gonna go to the track. I'll start there, and then eventually I'll do road work. Okay, well. I said, I've got kids at home and I have a full-time job. What am I doing? I have no time for this. Anyway, so it was kind of interesting. One of my favorite guests recently has been Niels Grevelius, and he is a private investigator. He's written a couple of books, and Skullduggery and Sub Rosa. And the last time he was on, he said, if you ever want to talk about Antifa, I'm your guy. And I thought, oh my gosh. So I set it up. And Niels is on. He's in his car. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for coming back. Appreciate it.
It's my sincere pleasure. Good afternoon, Victoria.
Good afternoon. Okay. Well, you've seen all the goings on. The there's lack of justice at the city of Portland. We've got as one person coined it, as Dan just told us, Cop-Tifa watching over the proceedings. And you've got people who are aimless in some respects, but have just glommed on to Antifa. They go down and spend nights there and they break things and they hurt people. What do you think?
Well, I think that you can't have an Antifa situation in any of these cities without partnership in city government. Antifa are just the street troops of the Democrat cult. It's like the KKK was.
You say cult, and we've heard from a couple of people today, some excerpts from really fine interviews other people did with these folks, and it was definitely the strays that come into this movement, and people who the autistic they're autistic on both sides, and so many people who are disaffected, and they felt that when they jumped out, they were coming out of a cult.
Well, yeah. What the socialists do to bring people in is they promise them Santa Claus. What these are children voting for Santa Claus, Victoria. They want every single thing for free, and like any other confidence scheme, they convince their victims that there is something for nothing, that they are extraordinary people. All of the usual things that a Ponzi scheme will offer, socialism offers. So a lot of these people do draw a paycheck of some sort, particularly the organizers. Many of the Antifa organizers are affiliated with SEIU, which is a labor union that represents government employees. Many of them are city and county workers, and many others the ones who actually have jobs work for state-funded, federally funded NGOs that are supposed to be doing homeless outreach, immigrant outreach, things like that. That is why the state of Oregon stopped producing arrest records and booking photos of Antifa Marxists arrested on the street. And I think it's absolutely vital that our Justice Department publish a searchable database of all people arrested for riot, arson, looting, burning, etc.,
Agreed.
including names, aliases, booking photos, hometown, date of birth, employer, and or whatever state-funded asshole factory that these people go to, whether it's Harvard or Portland State or Lewis and Clark or whatever.
What are you doing? Sitting outside a cop shop or something? What's going on there? Are they after you, Niels?
Well, no, they're never after me. It might be, Victoria, that I'm after them, right? I'm in East Los Angeles right now. I just gave a presentation at a downtown law firm on psychopaths, speaking of Antifa. And now I'm out looking for somebody who stole something from someone, darling.
Oh, very interesting. It must be a big thing for you to be involved.
Well, sometimes something gets stolen that's a precious object. Think of the Maltese Falcon. That's a classic detective story written by Dashiell Hammett, who was a Pinkerton agent like I was. And in the genre of private detective stories, it's called the rare object.
Mhm.
There have been story after story after story. Well, I've had a rare object case or two. One of them involved a stolen Stradivarius violin.
Wow. Did you find it?
Well, I found it to the everlasting embarrassment of my client, who had sold a fake Stradivarius to somebody else. And then the Stradivarius got stolen from the man that he had sold it to.
Uh-oh.
And it just got more complex from there. And I won't elaborate because I owe this feckless bastard a little bit of my secrecy now, don't I, Victoria?
Yeah, wow. Can you think of a time where we saw these kinds of shock troops that we see on the streets of Portland and Seattle and Atlanta, Chicago, in any time previously?
Sure, it's called the Ku Klux Klan, Victoria. I mean, what was the purpose of the Ku Klux Klan if not to enforce Democrat orthodoxy on the street, right?
Yeah.
Modern progressives love to worship FDR. And FDR was a great political leader in many ways. FDR would never sign the Costigan-Wagner anti-lynching bill because the KKK was his political partner in the Democrat coalition. The Democrats had a Southern strategy from the end of the Civil War till last week.
Till last week?
Sure, of course. Do you think the Democrat Party wouldn't like to have every single vote of the Ku Klux Klan they could get? Well, the modern iteration of the Ku Klux Klan is Antifa. They go out on the streets in their Portland tuxedo, the black uniform, and the N95 mask so no one can identify them. Why are they masked? What's the purpose? If what they're doing is legal, why are these motherfuckers wearing masks, Victoria?
Right. They don't want to be identified.
Why are they so rarely charged with the crimes they commit in the blue cities that they operate in? Because they're part of the political structure.
Yeah, it seems to me that they are. I recognize the fact that there have been people in office. For example, one of the people in 2020 who was a violent rioter and who was up on charges is the aide to the current governor of Oregon. So we understand that they're part and parcel of the political machine in the state of Oregon and in Portland especially. They're in the finest institutions around, OHSU being one of them. So we understand that, but you wonder who's minding the storm, man. So
well, this gives them power. They will continue in this vein as long as it gives them power.
Mm-hmm.
When they can no longer derive power from their street troops, they'll just change back into loving hippies with daffodils in their hair.
Yeah, kind of. We talked to, or I didn't talk to him, but I plan on talking to one of them next week. But we were two former Antifa members, including those people who were all the way up to 2020 and doing this in Portland, the worst of the worst. And what's interesting is that they've come out of it, and you want to believe them, but there's some comments underneath their broadcasts and like, listen, you know what? I was in Vietnam. There's one guy. I was in Vietnam when we were leaving. We were bugging out. And all of a sudden, the North Vietnamese army started removing their uniforms and going into the civies, or really revealing their civies and melting into the crowds, so that no one could ever find them again. No one knew what members were in was it NRVA? So I mean, I just thought, there is a good point there.
Well, you'll notice that rarely are they revealed, and we never know who exactly it is that they work for. And then their partners in the shit-gibbon political media will go out and say, well, there is no Antifa. It's just an idea. It's just an ideal. They're fighting fascism. How dare you gainsay them? You must be a fascist.
Yeah.
When in fact they have incorporations, they have bank accounts, they take in donor money. There's lawyers on call, bail bondsmen on call. In the state of California, it's illegal to have a bail bondsman on retainer. It's an expression of criminal intent. Well, Antifa always has bail bondsmen on call.
That's true. They have their own, they have a fund, and Kamala Harris gave to it to get people out. And they always have ready attorneys because they have an entire NGO stood up to do that. Well, Nils, I appreciate your time, and I know you got to go. So I appreciate you coming on and talking with us today, and my best to you, and I hope we can do it again soon.
I would really look forward to it, Ms. Taft. You try to stay safe and stay out of trouble, young lady.
I will try to do that. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Oh, that was wonderful. Anyway, so he's pretty amazing. You just can't get one over on him. He's already figured out, been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and so much more in a long career as his. And you can't pull one over on him. It's really interesting. One last thing before we go, and it's we talked a lot today about the fact that the ICE facilities being pummeled practically every night. When the media go away, and when nobody, the politicians never take the video at that time, and all that stuff. Nobody's paying attention except the live streamers and people like Dan, who knows people, and Honey Badger Mom, and all sorts of Katie Davenport. Those people are down there all the time. They catch it, and then people pretend it's not happening. Well, at the Portland ICE facility, where the feds are hanging out and deploying people, there is, in fact, I got to find this shot here. Check this out. I mean, we have all of these people involved in, where is this guy? Oh, maybe it didn't come in no, here it is. We've got the U.S. Border Patrol SOG group, Special Operations Group. I was today years old when I found out that they have their own SOG group. And I just like, is there anybody who doesn't have one of those? Is there any federal official or federal facility, office, institution that doesn't have their own SOG facility anymore? Well, anyway, they put out a video. And the video concerns the bust that they made the other day. And, for whatever reason, I don't know to what extent it makes a difference to some people, if it's a good idea. But they put out a video about their latest bust from Portland ICE. And these are people who, at least one of them, is a known Trinidad individual, and others were busted in Portland because, of course, as President Trump has said often, the prisons were opened and the bad guys were sent to the United States. Let's see if this works for us. And okay, here we go. Stand by here. I got to take something out. I have to remove something. Now, hold on, you guys. Stop. I want to show you this. Oh, I didn't put either of those in there. Okay, that's why. Here we go. Let's do this.
You can kick rocks if you don't like how I talk. I'm gonna keep on talking and walk my walk. Ain't changing my tone, ain't changing my song. I was born this way, been loud too long. You can hate my style, you can roll your eyes, but I ain't slowing down. I was born to ride, so damn rocks. If you don't like how I talk, I'm gonna keep on talking and walk my walk.
Yeah, so the Border Patrol has been known to put out these sort of hype videos. Anyway, I don't need to see it again, but it's, I think they do it for the guys who are in the ranks so that they know they're backed up by the feds. Hey, you guys, we appreciate what you do. And we're going to give you guys your own videos, your own music videos to show that what you do matters and what they do does matter, obviously. And so I think 8 of them were rolled up the other night in Portland. And these are the people Antifa is going against. They are the people who are going out on a nightly basis and they are arresting bad guys who do bad things. And they want to stop them from doing that because apparently these guys might have children. Maybe they had kids while after they were sent by Maduro's government to infiltrate the United States, after they were sent in and allowed in by an unchecked border by Joe Biden, not vetted. In Portland, the Tren de Agua. I mean, you also had in the capital city of Oregon, there was a cartel kingpin living there. They're not immune here. And the sooner you start paying more attention to that, the more you'll know that they got bigger problems than ICE agents, baby. They sure do. Anyway, it's time for us to sign off, and I'll see you back here on Thursday. And we got a good program for you on Thursday, and I'm not going to say a word about it because you have to tune in on both YouTube and on Rumble to get our live stream. And then, of course, we port that over to all the other platforms after we do that. And I want you to remember a couple of things because we are the adult in the room. Head up, heart out, strive to be the adult in the room. Okay, we're done here. Mischief managed. Okay. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this episode of the Adult in the Room podcast. We do not take you for granted. We appreciate every single person who tunes in every week to listen and watch this program. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday, live streaming on Rumble, and then on every other podcast platform shortly thereafter when we can port it over and get it over there as soon as we can. All the shows can be found at victoriataft.com, where the censorship regime has been banned by me. Follow me on social media at these names: Victoria Taft, the Adult in the Room podcast, and the Victoria Taft Show. Send media inquiries, or any others for that matter, to victoria@victoriataft.com. And here's a big ask. Would you please subscribe, share, like, comment, recommend, and give this program a 5-star rating where you can? We really appreciate it. We do not take that for granted either. Follow my work at, you guessed it, victoriataft.com. PJ Media, I write tons over there. Flamingo Audiobooks, and of course the radio. I don't do this alone. This show is produced and engineered by Overall Media. 1A Cast is responsible for some of the Adult in the Room podcast's imaging. Logo design by Hageman Creative. The Adult in the Room podcast is produced at Flamingo Road Studios. All rights reserved.